Hello and welcome back to the seventh episode of the Marzano's Learning and Teaching Strategies. So we have come this far. This is the last uh, three episodes of this series. So far, we have learned so many things from identifying similarities and differences, summarizing and note taking, reinforcing effort and providing recognition, homework and practice, non linguistic representations, cooperative learning, and now we are going to talk about setting objectives and providing feedback. So before we proceed, let's see what Marzano says about it in summary. So according to him, setting objectives and providing feedback gives students a clear and measurable learning target. So it's about the students having a goal and working on this goal. While feedback itself is a way of relating our thoughts to whatever goal they have to do. Okay? So it's like a positive or constructive um, information that we tell the students to see if they have achieved the goal or not. Okay, so it's like in simple terms, we are asking the student to do something that is setting objective, and then we will talk about how well or not so well they did on this task that we asked them, and that it will be providing feedback. Okay, so we will divide this video into two parts. Okay, so the first one, we will be talking about objectives. So there's a technique that's called SMART objectives. Okay, from the word SMART, there are words that we can connect to this. Okay, and these words are guide to creating objectives for you and your students. So, for example, specific is for S, M is for measurable, A is achievable, R is realistic, and T is timely. So let's talk about this individually. All right. So when we say smart objectives, if we want to ask student to have a goal, okay, we always have to remember the SMART method. Okay. So S is specific. So if we are going to give students an objective, the details should be exactly what needs to be done. So it means we have to provide complete information on what they have to do. M is for measurable. Okay, we have to make sure that whatever the goal, the result will be, it should be something that we can measure. It's either the achievement itself or the progress, for as long as it's something that can be measured. So, um, if we want the student to have a goal of a particular score, 95, then that's good. It means that's something that we can measure. But it's hard to measure, for example, happiness. How are we supposed to measure happiness? If the goal is for a student to become happy, how are we supposed to measure that? Right? So there should be, like, in a way, numbers or something that we can um, measure ourselves. Next one for A is achievable. So achievable is the objective should be accepted by those responsible for achieving it. Okay, so meaning it should be realistically possible to be done. So um, they are both um, they both go together. R for realistic and achievable. We should have a goal that the student can actually achieve in real life. Okay, it's possible. Like, for example, we cannot provide a goal to the student wherein the student will be, let's say, a top student in the academy. Of course, not everyone can do that. Only one person can do that. Or to get a very impossible degree, like to become a doctor, for example. So those things are not realistic as of the moment. So make sure that those goals will be attainable. Okay, not very easy to attain, but it's possible to attain. At the same time, they can achieve it. Okay, and then last one is for T, that will be timed. So it's important for us to time our objective, and we provide them how long it should take them to finish a goal. Like, if our goal is for them to improve their English skills, for how long will it be, right? It should be, let's say, 6 months, 3 months, a year, and so on. Because if you don't time it, then it's gonna be hard for us to achieve that goal because we don't know when to stop. When do we measure and when do we do some sort of things? Okay. Now the second half of this will be going to feedback. What is feedback? Feedback is helpful information or criticism that is given to someone to say what can be done to improve a performance. Okay, so feedback is not about saying all the negative things, it's not about just criticism. It should be constructive in a way, it should be helpful, meaning whenever we provide feedback, we tell the person what can be done to improve it or what can be done, right? So it's like if a student failed in a particular goal, then we provide feedback, and that feedback should include the steps that can be taken by the student. It's not that we're gonna point out the mistakes. It's important for us to also give them what they can do to improve it. Okay, so there are 7 criteria for effective feedback. What are those criteria? So, a feedback is effective if the provider is credible in the eyes of the feedback recipient. That's correct. So, for example, um, if the person who will receive the feedback doesn't really respect the person providing feedback, then it'll be useless. This person will not really believe that, right? So, as much as possible, uh, ask feedback from people who the person respects, such as a teacher or a mentor. Number two, the feedback provider is trusted by the feedback recipient. Yeah, trust is very, very important. Otherwise, they will not really believe what they're saying and it will go to waste. The feedback is conveyed with good intentions. So it's always about improving. Like what I said, constructive criticism is very important. We don't just give feedback because we want to hurt the feelings of other people. No. The timing and circumstances of giving feedback are appropriate, of course. We provide feedback when it's necessary. Um, we don't give feedback in public as much as possible unless it's necessary. But yeah, it should be provided at the right time and the right place. Feedback is given in an interactive manner, meaning every time you provide feedback, the person should be able to answer or ask questions about it. It's not just a one way conversation wherein the other person is not able to respond to your feedback. So there should be conversation between the two of you, exchange of ideas. And then the feedback message is clear. We don't want to confuse the receiver. We don't want to uh, make them interpret things as much as possible. The feedback should be as clear as water. The feedback should be understandable in its very essence. And lastly, the feedback is helpful to the recipient. Um, Even though some feedback may be inappropriate, some people still do that. They still give feedback like this. So feedback should be helpful to the recipient. If it's not necessary, it's not going to help the recipient, then rather not say that. because it might be taken differently. So there. So those are the things that we need to remember. Just remember that you've set objectives first, and then once you've done or they're done with the deadline that you've set, then that's the time that we provide feedback, considering the 7 considerations. So we're almost done with this series. We're gonna do the last two in a couple of days. So thank you so much for watching this video, and have